The anime begins with Takase. He's happy because his crush called him to talk and he thinks that she's going to confess her feelings to him. But Kana just stares at him for 10 minutes. Then she asks him if he likes someone, but he doesn't know what to answer because if he confesses that he likes her, he will steal her moment of confession. Takase is ready to leave, but she stops him and asks if he can meet her tomorrow again, and when he accepts, she tells him that tomorrow she will confess to him that she likes him, and she leaves without realizing what she said, leaving Takase shocked. All this is seen from the window by Minagawa, the class representative, although she does not like doing her work. Furuya asks her why she agreed to be the class rep if she doesn't like working, and she confesses that it's because she likes him and asks him out. He turns red and doesn't want to accept because there is a rumor that Minagawa dates a lot of guys, but she assures him that they are just for friends. Then Minagawa gets serious and says again that she likes him, and Furuya can't help but turn very red, and that makes her smile so much that he thinks she's making fun of him, but even so, he doesn't reject her feelings. Meanwhile, in another part of the school, Kaji is caught smoking by the student council president Akaji. He says that he won't give her away in exchange for a kiss, and she quickly accepts, so he jokes that many have bought her body and offers a good sum of money for a kiss. But when he is about to kiss her, he says she smells like tar, but still he kisses her, and says that he could fall in love with her if she stops smoking. Elsewhere in the astronomy club room, Sasahara asks her senpai Yukawa to show her the stars again tonight since he graduates tomorrow. At night, Yukawa and Sasahara meet on the school roof and she tells him that she likes him, but she regrets it and says that it was a joke, and as always, he does not take her seriously because she has told him that loves him for 2 years. But this time, he asks her to tell him one more time, since he will graduate tomorrow, and she tells him that she loves him crying. Months later, Hotaru, Furuya's sister, enters the same high school as her brother, and the first thing she does is look for him, but she sees him with the girl, Minagawa. Hotaru immediately latches onto her brother and jealously questions him about that girl, and Minagawa jokes that they are just friends for now. That alerts Hotaru, and she asks her brother to reject that girl, and he says that he's been thinking seriously about dates, marriages, children, and finances, which makes Minagawa happy, but Hotaru says that her brother thinks seriously about everything, not just her. Meanwhile, outside the school, a new boy named Kaga looks around the school building and runs into Sasahara. She's looking for new members for the astronomy club and tries to convince him to join. He considers himself a boring boy, so he's not interested in school clubs, but Sasahara tells him everything her senpai taught him about the stars and how fun it was to observe the planets with him, and Kaga falls for her smile and passion about her club and decides to join it. On the other hand, in a classroom, Goda is surprised to see Kamen sitting next to Hoist's desk, but she avoids his gaze as always. He thinks she hates him for something he did. So he asks her to be honest with him and confess what she feels, but she is so shy that she only tells him indirectly that she likes him, and since he doesn't understand what she means, he thinks that he did something to her and he asks for her forgiveness, and he is willing to go out with her to make up for his mistake. That makes Kamen happy because she thinks that he accepted her feelings and takes the courage to tell him that she likes him, and Goda gets nervous. Later, the spring day is cut off by heavy rain and Sugawara sees his crush without an umbrella and offers her his own. He heroically tries to run through the rain, but slips and falls. Then Takama tells him that they can both use the umbrella until they get to the bus station. He feels nervous walking next to her and asks her if she has a crush and smiles widely when she says no. Emboldened, Sugawara asks her what she would do if a boy declared his feelings for her, and she says that she would reject him because no one in their right mind would like her. But he tells her all her good qualities and confesses that he likes her, but Takano does not take him seriously and thanks him for wanting to cheer her up and decides to bake him gratitude cookies. The next day, a girl named Kana tells her friend that she and her boyfriend, Chiaki, have never kissed, and her friend advises her to talk to him about it. On the way home, Kana asks Chiaki why they don't have skinship like other couples, and he says that for that, they need to be a couple first. This totally shocks Kana, and she tells him that they have been dating for a year since she confessed her feelings to him, and he reciprocated. But Chiaki is surprised and says that he thought it was a joke like the ones that best friends make. Kana can't believe it, and she starts to cry because she was imposing her feelings on him without being reciprocated, but Chiaki confesses that he does like her, but he didn't know if she reciprocated those feelings, so he asks her to go out properly this time as a couple, and Kana happily accepts. The next day, the love confessions continue happening at school, but this time there is no happy ending. Matsura is rejected by her crush, and just wants to go to her house to cry, but she is stopped by her senpai, Katori. He does everything to anger her, and she hits him twice, and in the end asks her if she feels better. He knew that she had been rejected and wanted her to release the internal pain, since a senpai's job is to make a kohai feel better. On Sunday, Yamane goes on his first date, and he is very nervous since he has been in love with Kurihara for a long time because they both share the same bus. But he thinks that she only asked him out because he saved her from a groper on the bus, and he is kind of right, since she was very grateful to him. But that horrible situation was just an excuse to ask him out. In the cafeteria, he is so nervous that he can't stop shaking, and when she confesses that she likes him, he accidentally calls the waitress to bring them drinks, cutting off Kurihara's moment of confession. Days later at school, Takano has to clean the stairs and Sugawara offers to help her, and she takes it as him thinking that she doesn't know how to clean. Then Sugawara tries to confess his feelings to her, but that only reinforces the idea that Sugawara is telling her that she is cleaning the stairs badly, so when he takes the courage to ask her out on a date, she doesn't understand what he means, and he understands that the two of them were talking about different things, so he plays dumb and pretends that the whole talk was about cleaning. Days later, Kana goes to study at Chiaki's house, and to his bad luck, she discovers his men's magazines and tells him that he doesn't need to look at those magazines, he can look at her, and lies down on his bed. They are both very nervous since they haven't even kissed, so he suggests kissing first, but his nerves get the best of him and he wants to go to the bathroom. After that, she takes off her clothes and says she came prepared because she assumed something like this would happen. But it's obvious that they aren't ready to move forward any further because she gets under the covers so he doesn't see her body. Suddenly, Chiaki's mother brings them tea, and she realizes what she just interrupted, so she apologizes and leaves quickly. Chiaki and Kana decide not to stop and continue with what they were doing, but her mother comes back into the room to remind Kana to take her pill, and that ruins the atmosphere. The next day at school, Kaji regrets having agreed to quit smoking and remembers how Akaji convinced her. It turns out that Akaji confessed to her that he had been watching her for a long time. He doesn't know if what he feels is love, but he is very sure of one thing: he doesn't want her to give her body to someone else. That's why he decided to take a step forward and ask her out. She thinks he is playing with her, but he assures her that is not the case and kisses her. Meanwhile, in a classroom, Minagawa asks Furia if he has already decided how to respond to her love confession, but he is so hesitant that she tells him that she is no longer interested. Furia kicks himself for making her wait so long, but out of nowhere, she starts texting him, and he is relieved because they still have a chance. What he doesn't know is that she is eager for his response. On the other hand, a friend of Takano gives her a love letter for Sugawara, and when she gives it to him, he almost cries with happiness thinking that it is a love confession from Takano, but is not. Then he tells Takano that he can't accept those feelings because he likes another girl and he wants to confess his feelings to her, but it's difficult. Then Takano advises her to hug his crush and confess his love and not let her go until she understands. Sugawara likes that advice and asks her what she would do if he did that to her right now, and she says that she wouldn't like it. Before leaving, he tells her that he prefers not to confess his feelings to his crush because she will surely send him to the friend zone. That leaves Takano thoughtful, and she imagines him hugging her, but she quickly erases that idea. That night, Kanda is determined to confess her feelings to Katase via text, but when she's about to send the message, she chickens out and deletes it. Then she takes courage again and starts texting him. What she doesn't know is that he also wants to confess his feelings to her right now. They both text meaningless things, trying to work up the courage to confess their feelings, until the two come to a resolution. Kanda quickly writes her love confession and sends it to Katase, but she immediately receives another text from him. And it is not a response to her confession. Instead, he says that tomorrow he is going to confess his feelings in person, because he thinks that people who confess their feelings via text are stupid. The next day, Kaga takes her childhood friend Nanas to the astronomy club and introduces her to Sasahara. Nanas knows that Kaga is not interested in stars, so she accuses him of being in love with Sasahara, but he tells her that it is not like that. Then Sasahara goes to attend to some business, and Nanas complains to Kaga for having ignored her since middle school, and he says that he did it because many thought that they were a couple and he didn't want them to invent rumors about her. This makes Nanas angry because she thinks he did it because he wasn't interested in her, and she starts to tear up, which disconcerts Kaga, who now thinks she hates him, but on the contrary, Nanas gathers her courage and kisses him. Later, Kamin is a little sad because God acts very cold towards her. Even though they have been a couple for a few weeks, he even avoids her when she's around him. Then on the way home, Goda says that they can't go on like this, and Kamin thinks that he's about to break up with her, so she starts crying. This scares Goda because what he wanted to say is that he wants to be more affectionate with her, but he doesn't want to scare her, and that makes Kamin so happy that she throws herself into her arms crying. Meanwhile, Nanas and Kaga can't stop thinking about their kiss, and everything gets worse when Kaga's mom asks him to bring fruits to Nanas, and he does it, but now they can't even look at each other without turning red. Days later, Kaji and Akagi are in a study session. But Kaji can't stop thinking about what Akagi saw in her, but he just kisses her because of her complaints, making her angry. Then he says that he likes her face, and that makes Kaji angrier because she thinks he only likes her body, but he says that he likes everything about her, including her complaints and her short temper. Kaji blushes and jokes that he just needs to tell her that he loves her, and he doesn't hesitate to tell her that and kiss her. Then on the way home, Chiaki keeps telling Kanna about a police series he saw and encourages her to do an acted skit with him, but she doesn't take the hint and interrupts the kiss he wanted to give her. Kanna realizes her mistake, and when they are about to recreate the scene in reverse, the long-awaited kiss seems like it is going to happen, but the two get shy and leave it for later. The next day, Kurihara invites Yamaine to go to the movies tomorrow, and he agrees to go, thinking that he has no plans. But that's not the case. He had forgotten that he had promised to go to the movies with his friend Motoyama the next day. Then Yamaine tries to cancel the plan with Motoyama, but his friend suspects it's because of a girl, and Yamaine says that it's another friend, and Motoyama gets sentimental because he thought the two were best friends. Yamaine can't handle the guilt anymore, so he confesses that he's going with a girl to the movies tomorrow, and instead of getting angry, Motoyama cries with happiness for his friend, and Yamaine cries with him too and invites him to go with them to the movies since for him, his relationship with Kurihara is platonic. In the afternoon, Katori sees a girl sighing tiredly because she keeps receiving love confessions, so he tells her that she looks like a stressed kitten. Kazuko finds him handsome like a Prince Charming, and he tries to cheer her up by behaving like a prince. But he uses his charms so much that she falls in love with him, and he tells her that she shouldn't fall in love with him because she will burn. He likes to be free. But it's too late. Kazuko climbs a tree and claims to be a kitten who needs help. And when she's about to fall, he catches her with his body, but her elbow hits his chest and he throws up his lunch spaghetti. Then, Katori says goodbye to her since he already fulfilled the job of a Prince Charming. Days later, Hotaru notices that her brother keeps smiling at his cell phone and realizes that it is a girl, so she steals his cell phone to find out who it is. And it's none other than Minagawa, so Hotaru pretends it's Furuya and writes to her to stop bothering him. Fortunately, Minagawa realizes that it is Hotaru, so he decides to mess with her and make her believe that she already slept with her brother and is pregnant. Hotaru returns very red and runs to tell their mother. Meanwhile, Goto walks Kamen home and asks her if she wants anything from him, and in fact, if there is anything she wants. Kamen wants Goto to tell her that he loves her, but he understands that she wants him to prove it, so he asks her out on a date, but she clarifies that she wants him to tell her in words. Then, Goto turns very red, but he does what she asks and says that he loves her very much from the bottom of her heart, and he asks for her forgiveness for not telling her before, but that makes Kamen happy. The next day, Katase is worried because Kamen ignores him, and he debates whether to confess his feelings to her again. That concern is seen by Katori, and he tells him that it is obvious that he made a girl cry, and Katase is surprised by Katori's good intuition. Then, Katori tells him that he is an expert on girls and advises him to hug the girl he made cry very tightly, and Katase thanks him for the advice because it is something he wants to do. Meanwhile, Takano keeps watching Sugawara and thinks that maybe she is about to catch a cold because her face feels hot every time she sees him. So she goes to the infirmary, but instead of meeting the nurse, she runs into Sugawara. He notices that her face is red, and she says that she wants to take her temperature. Sugawara no longer has hope with her, so he no longer wants to confess his feelings for her. But when she tells him that she doesn't know where the thermometer is, he chivalrously gives it to her. Takano takes her temperature and feels her face very red, but the thermometer says that her temperature is normal, and that puzzles her. It's been 3 months since Kamen and Goto started dating, and she wants to be more possessive and clingier with him. But she's afraid it will bother him. Then he tells her that he can ask for anything she wants from her, and she grabs his hand and rests her head on his shoulder, but Goto wants something in return from her and surprises her with a kiss, but Kamen gets so nervous that she coughs while he kisses her, and they both turn red. The rumor of their kiss spreads at school, and Chiaki can't believe that a couple has already kissed when they have only been dating for 3 months, but Kana doesn't think the same as him and asks him when they are going to kiss. So Chiaki tries to kiss her while she has her eyes closed, but at the last second, Kana moves and he kisses her nose. They both turn very red and agree to try again. But since they are in the school cafeteria, everyone looks at them strangely. Meanwhile, Kaji and Akagi have a study session in the library since they always get distracted when they are at home. Suddenly, Kaji asks Akagi to let him play with her body, but she reminds him that they are in the library. But he insists so much that she accepts and gives him a hug. But Akagi tells her that he really just wanted to let her know that he holds back a lot with her, and that makes her blush. On the other hand, Kazuko can't stop thinking about her Prince Charming, Katori, and by chance, she finds him lying and beaten. He tells her that a taken girl fell in love with him, and that's why he received a beating, and now he is being chased. And she offers him her house to hide. But he reminds her that if she falls in love with him, she will burn, but Kazuko doesn't care about that and tries to hug him. In the face of such insistence, Katori says that she is not a kitten, but a fine leopard, but he is not made to be trapped. The god of romance created him to be free. Finally, Katori says that he will beat her with just one finger. Kazuko is ready to win his heart, but he blows her a kiss with his finger, and she immediately faints. Days later, Takano and Sugawara can't stop looking at each other in swimming class, but Takano thinks that he is looking at another girl while he gets shy because she noticed that he was looking at her. Then, when it is their turn to swim together, she apologizes for interrupting her gaze at another girl, and he gathers courage and tells her that he was looking at her. While Takano swims, her heart doesn't stop beating, and the first thing she does when she gets out of the water is say that she was also looking at him, but later she realizes that the boy is not Sugawara, it is Goda, and he kindly says that he will pass her message to Sugawara. Meanwhile, in class, Kanda and Takase don't know how to talk to each other due to awkwardness. He wants to declare his feelings while she thinks he lost interest in her, so she wants to be friends again. Then Kanda tells him to not to pay attention to her message, and Takase feels that he has missed the opportunity to confess his feelings because she lost interest in him, and everything goes downhill when she suggests being friends again. He wants something more, but she misunderstands his face and thinks that he is relieved and wants them to be just friends. Later, Goda walks Kamen home and she wants to kiss him again, since she coughed in their first kiss and wants to repeat it, so she takes him to a park and recreates the last scene. But Goda thinks that she didn't like his kiss because it was so sudden, so he gets surprised where she puts her head on his shoulder and she excuses herself by saying that she is sleepy. Since he doesn't try to kiss her, Kamen lies down on his lap, and instead of taking the initiative, Goda dozes too. She wakes him up and turns red when he tells her that he almost crashed his face into hers. Meanwhile, Furuya and Minagawa stay after school to fill out paperwork, which is the class representative's job. She asks him why he hasn't given her an answer, and he says that he thinks she wasn't serious when it came to telling him that she likes him, and she agrees with him and starts telling him over and over again that she likes him, but in a serious tone. Furuya gets so red that he makes her smile, and she says that she can't seriously confess her feelings for him if he has his eyes open. So he closes them and thinks she's kissing him because she puts her hand on his mouth. When he opens his eyes, he sees her hand and says that she wasn't serious, but Minagawa mysteriously says that she didn't use her hand, and he doesn't know what to believe anymore. Days later, Yamayan asks Motoyama to accompany him behind the school because Kurihara summoned him there. Motoyama can't believe that his friend is so silly and doesn't realize that a girl wants to be alone with him. So he tries to leave, but Kurihara stops him and thanks him for accompanying them. She is very shy, but still gives Yamayan a bag of pudding that she made for him and says that tomorrow she will bring him for both of them. And although Motoyama thanks her, he quietly leaves so that they can have their moment alone. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Kamen watches her boyfriend be a gentleman with the girls and debates asking him something. Later, Goda asks her if she is angry with him, and she decides to be honest and tells him that she doesn't mind him being nice to girls, but she would like him to be nicer to her. Goda says that he is her boyfriend and will do anything she asks, so Kamen lists everything she wants from him, starting with him calling her by her first name, and that makes Goda blush. On the other hand, Chiaki and Kana were passing by and saw the happy couple kissing each other on the cheek. Kana complains that Goda never takes the initiative and that's why they haven't kissed, but he points out that Kamen also kisses Goda, so Kana could also take the initiative. So they decide to kiss right now, but to their bad luck, they are interrupted by Kamen and Goda, who greet him without realizing what they interrupted. Later, Kana goes to Chiaki's house to study, and he is determined to kiss his girlfriend today. They start studying, and he gets nervous, so he asks her if he can kiss her. But she says that she wants their kiss to be beautiful and sweet, because it will be a memory forever, but Chiaki doesn't listen to her and kisses her unexpectedly. He is very happy for their kiss, but Kana leaves the house crying after punching him. The next day, Takano can't stop watching Sugawara while he plays soccer, and her friend asks her out of the blue if she likes someone. Takano turns red and says that she doesn't know anything about love. At that moment, Kamen enters the music classroom and Takano's friend asks her to tell them about her love life, and Kamen tells them that she declared her feelings first to Goda. That catches Takano's attention, and Kamen assures her that before she only had eyes for Goda and she couldn't stop thinking about him. Then Kamen surprises her and tells her that there is a rumor in their class which says that Sugawara likes her, and that shocks Takano. Meanwhile, things are going badly between Kana and Chiaki. She has ignored him since their kiss, and he keeps apologizing to her. Then one night, Kana decides to forgive him if he asks for forgiveness again, and he does it, but Kana was waiting for his message while she was bathing, and she drops her cell phone in the bathtub. She gets desperate and starts crying because maybe Chiaki takes it badly that she doesn't answer him. Fortunately, her mother goes into the bathroom and fixes her cell phone. At that moment, Chiaki calls her and Kana happily answers the call, but her cell phone dies again and Chiaki thinks that she hung up. Days later, the students face the final exams and Kanda panics because she forgot her pencil and she must use a mechanical pencil. But at the end of the exam, she runs out of leads and luckily, Takase passes some of it on to her, since after all, they're still friends. On the other hand, Keiji is also having a hard time on her exam since she must get good grades to have the opportunity to go to college with Ekeji. Her nerves get the best of her and she drops her eraser and doesn't know how to pick it up, but fortunately, a classmate asks the teacher and he picks it up for her. At the end of the exam, Kaji can't help but cry. Days later is school sports day and the main event is a mini men's soccer championship. Boys are supported by girls, especially those who have a girlfriend or a crush. Later, there are only 2 teams left ready to play in the final Goddess team versus Takesa's team. A blonde girl complains because she wants to play too, and the teacher says that she can replace some boy and she is put on Goddess team. The match begins and Tsurezure takes the lead but is distracted when he realizes that Takano is watching him. Unfortunately, the ball flies and almost hits Kana, but Chiaki gets in the way and takes the hit. The game resumes but Chiaki's team is losing, although that does not discourage him because Kana begins to aggressively cheers him up and that gives him the courage to score a goal, but the goalkeeper blocks it. Fortunately, the only girl who plays among the boys steals the ball and scores a goal. The next day, everyone agrees to go to the beach when summer begins and Sugawara accepts only because they told her that Takano will go, but that is not true, she is still undecided. Meanwhile, Kana tries to make things up with Chiaki, but he doesn't answer her messages. What she doesn't know is that Chiaki's cell phone ran out of battery and he didn't read her messages. After class, she waits for him in the classroom, but Chiaki does not appear and she leaves sad. But since Chiaki wanted to make up with her, he waited Kana at the school gates. She asks him if they are going to make up, but he tells her that he doesn't want that because before he took her for granted, and if they make up, it will be a stain on their relationship and it won't last. Kana starts to cry and Chiaki asks her to break this relationship and start a new one from scratch, with him confessing his feelings for her, and that makes her so happy that tears fall in floods from her eyes. On the other hand, Sugawara runs up to the classroom and finds Takano. She decides to take the initiative this time and asks him if he is going to the beach, and he says he won't go. But Takano asks him to go because the beach won't be fun without him, and finally, Sugawara smiles because she has given him a sign that she likes him.